In the village of Midsomer Parva, the long-running feud between two families is starting to have a body count. Can Barnaby bring peace to the Parva? We are talking battle reenactments
The impact of World War I in the United Kingdom.
and the art of loving Biddy in this episode of
Welcome to Midsummer.
Hello and welcome to Midsummer, the podcast where we dissect all the mysteries, the murders, and the many weird things about the long-running hit TV show Midsummer Murders. Whew, that was my lung capacity is weak right now. I'm your host, Eric Buscher, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Eileen Becker. Hey, Eileen.
Hey, Eric, we're talking about Shot at Dawn, the first episode of the 11th series. It originally aired on January 1st, 2008. Happy New Year! It was directed by Richard Holthouse and written by Michael Atkins. Let's get to fighting with those breadsticks.
Those were baguettes.
Those were baguettes. Okay, let's get fighting.
And they could do some they could do some damage. Spoiler warning, we will be discussing the events of this episode, including the identity of the murderer. So if you haven't watched it yet and don't want to know who done it, pause this and go watch it. We will still be here when you get back.
Do you know what was wrong with the execution of your father?
Not tonight, General.
Dougie should have shot him before he had a chance to breed.
You leave him alone.
Then we wouldn't have this long line of Hickses living in Parva, in that bloody awful red brick monstrosity.
I'm not fighting tonight.
No, of course you're not, because you're like your father, a coward.
We open on a World War I French battlefield in 1916. As soldiers fight amidst explosions, English soldier Tommy Hicks walks away from the fighting, exhausted and bloodied. He manages to stumble back to base where he is arrested, tried for cowardice, and sentenced to death. His own regiments form a firing squad, but when their shots don't kill him, Dougie Hammond shoots him in the head with a revolver. We then jump to the modern-day village of Midsomer Parva, where a marching band of military reenactors perform. Mayor Dave Hicks gives a speech about how a wrong has been righted, as his ancestor Tommy's name is added to a memorial for the villagers who died in the war. This doesn't sit well with Henry Hammond, Dougie's son and patriarch of the Hammond family. He's a military man who still believes Tommy got what he deserved, and the 90-year feud between the Hicks and the Hammonds has become notorious in the county. Tom and Joyce Barnaby watch as wheelchair-bound Henry calls the ceremony a farce, and wheelchair-bound Lionel Hicks flirts with his lady friend Biddy Dixon. Days later, Dave Hicks meets with his lawyer Martin Chadwick, who shows him a hidden codicil in Dougie's will that gives the Hicks family ownership of the large North Meadow on Hammond land when the Hammond Trust ends. Dave and his son Danny are thrilled with the chance to stick it to them, as well as to turn that land into houses. But his unhappy wife Judy tells him the Hammonds will always look down on him no matter what he does, and then accuses him of having an affair. Over at the Hammonds, Henry complains about the Hicks to his son Johnny, his daughter-in-law Bella, and their children Sophie and Kate. After dinner, Sophie goes to the house of Dave and Judy's other son, Will, who she has been having a secret romance with and becomes engaged to. Henry and Lionel both end up in the local pub, where Henry sits alone and Lionel is surrounded by many friendly locals. The two end up fighting with French bread, and Barnaby has to break it up. The next day, Barnaby and Jones are ordered by the superiors to attend a World War I battle reenactment led by the Hammonds on the North Meadow. Barnaby doesn't want to go, especially since he will have to be around Dave, who is not only the mayor, but the builder who did a subpar job on Barnaby's leaky roof. But he does get to see Joyce dressed as a Red Cross nurse, so I guess we know what they will be role-playing that night. Barnaby notices Henry sliding his hand up Bella's skirt, and Bella not even commenting. That night, Kate, who is gay, asks her mom why she married Johnny, who is also gay. Bella, who comes from another military family, says Johnny understood his duty at least 2 whole times. Lucky lady, that Bella. She then goes outside to sit with Henry, who starts rubbing her leg. So she excuses herself, saying she is going to bed, but then sneaks out of the house. At that point, some drunk reenactors, led by local handyman Mickey Ryan, kidnap Henry from his back porch. They take him to a nearby folly and tell him they will execute him the way Dougie killed Tommy. Henry isn't scared and just laughs at them, even after they fake shoot him. So they leave him tied up at the folly, where moments later someone approaches and shoots him for real. Later, Henry's body is in his wheelchair moving down the road, where it plows into a milk truck. Barnaby and Jones are called in, and the driver swears Henry swerved directly into the truck's path. Bullard says that would be impossible when your head has been shot off. I guess that's a medical term? Jones finds one of the reenactors drunk in the ditch who tells them about the firing squad. They bring in Mickey, and he swears it was just a joke and Henry was never in danger. He says someone must have followed them, and Barnaby believes him because Mickey is quite dumb. He was loud with his plans in the pub, so anyone could have heard him and used it to kill Henry. So they let Mickey go. Barnaby goes back to the Hickses. Judy and Danny say they were asleep in bed, and Dave was asleep in the study on account of his snoring. Lionel says he actually will miss Henry because he loved fighting with him. But after Barnaby leaves, Judy confronts Dave, who says he was really just out for a walk, which she does not believe. She says that she is aware that he has put all of their money in her name to avoid taxes, which means she can take it from him whenever she wants. Now, over at the Hammonds, Johnny says Bella is emotionally unstable and that they were in separate bedrooms at the time of the murder. His sexuality is well known in the family and the village. Sophie admits to being with Will and says that she plans to marry him, which sets everyone off. Later on at the gym, Dave tells Johnny he knows about Dougie's will and offers to buy the land from him anyway so that they both can win, but Johnny refuses. The police find the gun in the lake, but it was only in the shallow part as if the shooter wanted them to find it. It is Dougie's gun, the same one used to kill Tommy Hicks. The Hammonds reported the gun stolen years ago, and while there was evidence Danny stole it, they didn't want to press charges. Barnaby tries to get some info on Dougie, so he goes and talks to Biddy, who said he had a lot of guilt for what happened to Tommy and promised to make it right. That night, Bella sneaks out of the house to an apartment where she meets Dave for an affair. Tourist info. We're back in Midsomer Parva for the third time. We were here previously for the Electric Vendetta and Secrets and Spies, and we're going to be back for Murder on St. Mally's Day, The Straw Woman, and The Sword of Guillaume. Parva has a lot worth seeing, like Devington, the private school with secrets, a lovely World War I memorial, a lovely old church, and the annual Straw Woman Festival. If you plan to drive, please keep your eyes on the road. You never know what you might run over.
The Hammonds Manor House is portrayed by Hall Barn in Beaconsfield, not far from Beck and Scott Model Village that we saw in Small Mercies. We last saw it in Harvest of Souls, where the Wyams lived in it. We'll see it again. It's a popular filming location, having been used in The Crown, Downton Abbey, Gosford Park, Eyes Wide Shut, Black Beauty, Call the Midwife, and Chariots of Fire. The big house that Dave Hicks bought seems to be a private residence, as I can find no information on it, though it does look a bit like Elvis Presley's Graceland.
Yes, I noticed the jungle room there. All right, so this episode centers around two feuding families, the Hammonds and the Hicks, where feuding is an Olympic sport, according to Barnaby. Got the Hammonds, the wealthier military family in the Hicks, who were a lower income family who seemingly have risen their way up the ladder. And there is decades of bad blood between the two. As shown in the opening of the episode, in 1916, Dougie Hammond executed Tommy Hicks, which I felt was a little inspired by the old Paths of Glory film by Stanley Kubrick, which was about men being executed in World War I for cowardice.
Yeah, it was based on a French book, I believe, or at least a French case, yeah.
Yes, it was based on a real case in France. I mean, that was like although the show often does the past in black and white, this felt a little... Again, it felt like a little bit of an homage. The opening was in black and white, right? Because now I'm realizing, wait, did my memory just play tricks on me? Or
I'm pretty sure it was in black and white because now my memory is playing tricks on me.
I mean, that is the fun thing about memory. It was a very graphic opening.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was very well done, and it really invests you early on in the backstory of what happened there.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it was for like, you actually see, like, there's a lot of graphics. Like, we talk about this show being like a family show, like a PG show, but like this episode, the violence is pretty graphic, and then
there's a lot of nudity.
there's a scene where there's a lot of nudity, and I was like, this is at least a PG-13.
Yeah. There is also a Romeo and Juliet element, obviously, to the feud between the Hammonds and the Hicks.
Yes.
Though it is less deadly than Romeo and Juliet, because Romeo and Juliet actually survived this one. Spoiler alert there.
I gotta say, I'm a little annoyed that there is so many, like, the names all sound the same. Like Hammond, Hicks, Dave Hicks, Danny Hicks, Johnny Hammond, Sophie Hammond, Bella. I mean, writing out the recap, it's like very easy. Is it Dave, Danny, Henry? Like, the writers could have just had like some different names.
One Aloysius would have served.
How about a Mark? How about, I don't know, Taylor? You don't need it to be. We could be the Hammonds and the Taylors. didn't need to be so alliterative because it was really confusing at some points. So at the opening of this episode, this is the ceremony where they are putting Tommy's name onto the memorial, where Dave declares that Tommy has been cleared,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, of what?
I don't know if there was, I couldn't find anything about any kind of like mass clemency for those executed for cowardice or whatever. I assume it went through channels because he was a mayor, so he had some pull now, he has some money. So
There really isn't. So wait, are we saying he didn't walk away? Like, the funny thing is like we see him sort of like walk off the battlefield, all
Mhm.
beaten, and like, so are they like? And I didn't see that as like he was deserting out of cowardice. He looked like he was shell shocked.
Yeah.
Did they finally just say no? He wasn't cowardice. He was like literally going through shell shock, and therefore his name should be. He was executed by mis. It would have taken all of 10 seconds to explain it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it made me feel very confused at the top, and that maybe Henry was justified in calling it a farce.
Yeah.
So we only get to spend time with Henry in the first half of this episode, but I gotta say, what a great character.
Mm-hmm.
Played by, we will talk a bit more when we do the cast highlights, but played by the great British character actor Donald Sinden. Hammond was, again, military man in a military family. Really hated the Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite sure why. I mean, they executed Tommy. It's not a reason to hate the whole family, is it?
No. I think it seems to have stemmed from the fact that they actually ended up on the wealthier side than the Hammonds were by that time.
The Hicks coming up, the Hammonds coming down.
Yeah.
The servant becoming the master, I think, is
Mhm.
the way Dave phrased it so delicately at the after rubbing down Johnny.
Yeah.
But Hammond is clearly, not only is he like a military man, but he's clearly someone whose anger has made him a very unpleasant person. And I think it was really telling in that scene in the pub where Lionel is very liked and everyone's
Mhm.
hanging around. And Lionel's a good time guy.
Yeah.
And Henry's sitting there alone, just like bitter and like just staring at them bitterly.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be around you, man.
Yeah.
And that led to the great French bread duel.
The Battle of the Baguettes, yeah.
Which those were very floppy breads, but like a proper baguette with like the nice hard
Yeah.
that could hurt.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that could be, some real, I'm sure there's been many a war in France with baguettes.
And especially when they're both clearly like, older gentlemen, there's going to be some bread bruises.
Yeah. I love the dichotomy between even though they both are now with wealthy families or somewhat wealthy families, but Henry has the electrified wheelchair that he can maneuver on his own, whereas poor Lionel still has not been given an electric wheelchair, so Biddy has to, direct him around, or somebody
Or
has
Mickey.
to push him. Or Mickey. Somebody has to always push him around, and it was just interesting that. And I thought very kind of smart because it's obvious that Dave did not want to buy a real wheelchair or, an electric wheelchair for his dad.
No, Dave is a jerk. Like
Dave is a jerk, yeah.
Like these families are all incredibly toxic, and frankly, Will and Sophie at the end of this episode should be like, "We are not speaking to any of you."
Yeah.
The end of this episode should just be the beginning of Arrested Development. It's like Will and Sophie have decided never to speak to these people ever again.
Yeah, it'll be called No Contact.
But Henry is, he is strong and he is tough. Like I really kind of liked that scene where they are planning to execute him. He's just laughing at him.
Yeah.
He's this older guy in a wheelchair and he is not scared by these drunken buffoons.
Yeah.
I also kind of liked that when they were marching him up, they were doing the Bridge over the River Kwai whistle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the Breakfast Company, or not, the Breakfast Club whistle.
Yeah.
For people who've never seen the Bridge over the River Kwai. And if you've never seen either, I'm assuming you're in your 20s, and why are you listening to this?
And also, go watch both those movies.
Yes. How did Johnny not hear them stealing his father?
He didn't hear his wife sneak out either, so I assumed he was kind of off in his own world, stroking his gun.
Yeah, but they rolled that wheelchair right by his window, and he's like, huh? Oh, well. I kind of loved Barnaby. So Barnaby has to break up the duel,
Hmm.
and he rolls over his foot.
Yeah.
Man, Tom was having an off night because he should have locked that guy up.
I find it funny that he's constantly being accused by the Hicks of being the lackey for the rich, and we've seen him constantly not being
Yeah,
the lackey for the rich throughout this. I mean, he will do a little bit of lip service, but you know that it's solely being done so that he can get what he wants out of them.
he is nobody's lackey, and he will throw his weight around as much as possible,
Yeah,
even against his superiors.
yeah.
I did kind of like that beautiful shot of the spilt milk all over the road.
Hmm.
That was a really nice. That was a nice image.
Yeah. Again, some really top-notch cinematography.
Yep. We also had a huge, well, a sort of a World War One reenactment, and it was we see a lot of about 12 guys
Yeah.
reenacting a World War One battle with fake
Hmm.
explosions and gunfire. There was biplanes, although basically it was just watching guys get mowed down.
Yeah.
I don't understand the point of a battle reenactment. I've got to be honest. I've seen a couple. I grew up in the South. Civil War reenactment things are you know common.
Hmm.
I've never quite understood the appeal or the necessity for them.
I have also been to them. I went to the 140th Gettysburg reenactment, and I do see. I think there is something very educational about it because I don't think that we can visualize things in our heads to the extent that it's shown. And even if you're watching a movie, it has less of a visceral feel to it than, I mean, unless you have a really great director, or it's something, like the opening scenes of Saving Private Ryan, where you do get that visceral feel to the battle. It does kind of, because if it's really well done, you've got the smells, you've got the sounds, you understand the noise more than you can even in a movie. So I do understand it.
I don't know. It's always struck me as sort of Comic Con for dads.
It is Comic-Con for dads. Yeah, no.
Oh, I'm getting so excited for the battle reenactment. I'm going to watch me some Ken Burns and maybe Band of Brothers. Oh yeah. Look, it's not for me. If you listen to this and you enjoy a good battle reenactment, cool, good for you. It's not a thing. It's not a me thing, but I've just personally just never quite got it. But
Yeah. They usually are very, very specific and accurate as far as, the clothing and everything, which is why I was kind of taken aback by Bella's dress, which was more of an 1880s dress than one from the 1910s.
oh, I thought she looked like Hetty from Ghosts.
Oh yeah, she did, which was 1880s.
Yeah.
Yeah, she died. I think she died in like somewhere in the 1880s or 1890s. So yeah.
I thought there's that moment where Jones is just watching these guys getting mowed down, and it's really quite moving. And Barnaby just side eyes him so hard.
So you're Barnaby and I'm Jones in that situation.
Yes, exactly. And I did understand Henry's frustration with the reenactors who, you know, not really professional soldiers.
Yeah.
I just wanted one to go. I just wanted one to like fall down and go, "Was I supposed to? No, I did get shot. I tripped. Should I get back up? Hello."
Yeah. This is the second battle reenactment because we did see the reenactment of a battle in the English Civil War, so which was much better done because that was actually done by an actual reenactment society.
That also had real people. Had like more than like 12 guys.
Yeah, this was obviously meant to not be a real,
No,
yeah. Other than having some biplanes, which was really cool to see those because,
this was mostly just to have an excuse so they could have a machine gun on hand for
yeah,
later in the episode.
yeah, yeah,
So this was a very slow opening to the show. So the first murder uh, didn't even kick in until 35 minutes.
yeah.
Like we're over a third of the way through before we get the first murder.
Hmm.
And there was not they didn't even because they cut to the credits right after Tommy's execution.
Hmm.
They didn't even do the music.
Yeah.
It was just straight cut to the title card and then into the episode, which I thought was honestly kind of thoughtful for this show.
Yeah, yeah. I like the way they did that. And I actually, again, when you break the rules, you break the formula. If you know what you're doing, it works. And for me, because they were building up, the tensions were there. You knew what was things were building up to it. For me, it works. But one thing though I thought was very funny was the in those early scenes where it's raining very hard, and England, of course, is known for its rainy days and everything. So obviously it would be a very authentic too, but they obviously filmed it on a very sunny day because you're getting that it's raining on these people, but there's just sun and blue sky and clouds in the background. So I guess they really can't film on really, really rainy days because it's probably not good on the cameras, the filming equipment and everything. So they have to do that whole fake rain thing, even in England.
Well, it has to be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
You want it's like, I mean, if you look at rain in the movies,
Yeah.
it's a consistent, never ending torrent
Yeah.
downpour, which isn't like real rain at all.
Yeah.
And then, we mentioned it before. It was really surprising when we see Sophie uh, uh, almost completely like we see breasts and we see bum.
And Will's pants are pretty low on the hips there too. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, but it was a little shocking
Yeah.
because this is not a show where that's really. I mean, every once in a while they would give you a little Jones butt or something like
Yeah.
that, but they never really like full topless was for a show that's had as much sex as it again, we joke about this. People joke, not even joke. People describe this as a family show, and we've like with this much incest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they're very mature situations as far as the subject matter in a lot of these. And we do occasionally get some nudity. Yeah.
yeah, I don't recall seeing a topless woman on this before.
I think there is one other scene, and it is again a scene where two characters are making love. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if we've done that episode yet, have we?
I can't remember because I can't remember which one it's in. Yeah.
But that's just it. It's so
Yeah.
this isn't an HBO show.
Yeah. Well, HBO, this would be totally different. Will would have been naked.
There you go.
Full frontal.
Yeah. I'm only saying yeah for you, Eileen. All right. So again, a lot of this deals with World War I, and you have a very special history corner this week, don't you?
Yeah, the subject of World War One is obviously huge. But since this is looking at the impact of what happened in World War One, I thought I would look at the impact of World War One on the United Kingdom and the people there.
Okay, well, take it away.
All right. The Great War, as it was called until World War II broke out, started for many reasons, including a complex system of alliances that permeated European politics as the Ottoman Empire weakened and the numerous German states were united into the German Empire. After the Crimean War of the 1850s and the Franco-Prussian War of 1870, Europe saw an uncharacteristic stretch of peace, however uneasy, that lasted several decades. There were uprisings and rebellions, especially in the Balkans, but by the time the war broke out in August of 1914, Europe was a powder keg. Many were not prepared for the style of modern warfare that would define the war. Trench warfare has been around since ancient times, but with modern weaponry, it became much deadlier and much more traumatic. Ignoring the lessons of the Crimean War and the American Civil War, Europeans expected a short war along the lines of the Franco-Prussian War. 4 bloody years later, Europe would be profoundly changed. At the start of the war, the United Kingdom was at the center of a British Empire that is still the largest empire in history. By 1913, it ruled over 412 million people, 23% of the world's population. It was literally the empire on which the sun never sets. It also had dynastic ties to several of the major monarchies of Europe, as Queen Victoria's grandsons included not only King George V of the United Kingdom, but also German Emperor Wilhelm II. One of the changes during the war was to change the name of the ruling house from the very German House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to the very British House of Windsor. At the start of the war, Britain had an all-volunteer army, but high casualties caused the government to pass the Military Service Act in January 1916, which allowed the conscription of single men from 19 to 41 years of age. In May, it was expanded to include married men, and in 1918, the age limit was increased to 50. 744,000 Britons lost their lives in combat during the war, with an additional 17,000 civilian deaths, not including the 100,000 to 400,000 who died of malnutrition and during the influenza epidemic. The United Kingdom lost about 2% of its population during the war and its immediate aftermath. While the UK managed to come through the war with its economy in fairly good shape compared to other European countries, though the war was expensive and post-war unemployment was high, social changes that had started before the war gained steam once peace had been achieved. One of the major changes was the expansion of the voting franchise from 5.7 million in 1885 to more than 21 million in 1918. While Britain had a constitutional government, it was not really a democracy. After the Third Reform Act in 1884, 60% of male householders over the age of 21 could vote, but the poorest 40% could not. This included many returning soldiers, so the Fourth Reform Act of 1918 extended the franchise to all men over 21, whether or not they owned property. It also, for the first time, allowed some women over 30 to vote. All women over 21 gained electoral equality in 1928. As in the U.S. after World War II, the women who had worked in the munitions and other factories during World War I joined the suffrage movement, and after the war, women began exerting their independence by joining the workforce and raising their hemlines while bobbing their hair. The rights of women could no longer be ignored, nor could the legacy of colonialism of the British Empire. Even though the British Empire reached its greatest extent in 1920 due to Britain gaining control of parts of the German and Ottoman empires, the seeds of the dissolution of the British Empire were being sown, and not just in Ireland, where the Easter Uprising and the brutal execution of its leaders led to the secession of the Irish state in 1919, the establishment of the Irish Free State in 1922, and the removal of the monarch as head of state with the Republic of Ireland Act of 1948. The Balfour Declaration of 1926 was the first step in establishing that the dominions of the empire were autonomous communities united by allegiance to the crown. World War II and independence movements in countries such as India and Egypt hastened the decolonization movement and establishment of the Commonwealth of Nations. Over 2.5 million men from the Dominions served in World War II on behalf of the United Kingdom and the Allies. Troops from Australia and New Zealand took heavy casualties during the 1915 Gallipoli campaign, a contribution to the war still commemorated in both countries on Anzac Day. At the same time as workers were joining trade unions in record numbers, the influence and power of the aristocracy began to decline. With many heirs to titles and estates killed during the war, many aristocratic families were left with an inheritance vacuum. Domestic service, especially for women, was also not as enticing to workers as it had been during the war. Downton Abbey's Gwen Dawson, played by Rose Leslie, wasn't the only parlor maid who decided that being a secretary was a better career. Parlor maids weren't the only ones questioning the status quo. Young men who survived the war, who saw the horrors of battle, came to be known as the Lost Generation. Their restlessness challenged the conservative values of the establishment that had led to such a terrible and useless war. The term shell shock also originated during the war to describe symptoms that some soldiers experienced as a reaction to the intensity of battle. Now called post-traumatic stress disorder, it was often assumed to be cowardice by military leadership. During the war, 266 British soldiers were executed for desertion, 18 for cowardice, 7 for quitting a post without authority, 5 for disobedience to a lawful command, and 2 for casting away arms. However, of the 3,080 death sentences handed down in British courts-martial, only those 348 sentences were carried out. But shell shock was long considered a sign of weakness and as a lack of character. Treatment of the condition was often brutal. Shell shock and the trauma of battle are one of the lasting legacies of World War I, especially in literature and popular culture. Poets such as Siegfried Lorraine Sassoon and Wilfred Owen explored the horrors of war in their poetry and prose. Owen's poem, Dulce et decorum est, one of the most well-known poems about the war, calls out the phrase, Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori, how sweet and honorable it is to die for one's country, as an old lie. The poem was published posthumously in 1920 as Owen was killed in action at the age of 25 in November of 1918, a week before the war's end. The collective memory of the war looms much larger in Britain and in other European countries than in the US, as they saw the ravages of battle in their lands and suffered much higher casualty rates than the US when it finally entered the war. It's akin to the US Civil War in the national consciousness. Between July and November 2014, 888,246 ceramic poppies, each representing a British or colonial service member killed in the war, were installed in the moat at the Tower of London to commemorate the outbreak of the war. The art installation was called Blood-Swept Lands and Seas of Red, from the first line of a poem written by an unknown soldier. Red poppies have become the emblem for Remembrance Day, which commemorates the armistice which ended the war. Canadian physician and poet John McCrae experienced the first use of chemical warfare at the Battle of Ypres in Flanders in 1915, and his friend was killed in the battle. McCrae noticed how quickly the poppies grew over the graves of the soldiers. He composed the poem in Flanders fields the next day, describing the poppies growing between the crosses, row on row. McCrae died of pneumonia in January 2018.
All right, here's our cast highlights. As we mentioned, Donald Sinden played wheelchair grump Colonel Henry Hammond. Sinden was an award-winning British actor who appeared in a ton of Royal Shakespeare Company, West End, and Broadway productions, as well as The Prisoner, Magumbo, The Island at the Top of the World, and Judge John Deed. Now, on the set of The Cruel Sea, Sinden almost drowned in an open-air water tank and had to be saved by the actor Jack Hawkins. He was then diagnosed with something called negative buoyancy, which basically means he was unable to swim or even float in water. He passed away in 2014, and speakers at his funeral included Dame Judi Dench and Sir Patrick Stewart. George Cole played nose-thumbing Lionel Hicks. Cole worked for 75 years as an actor, a career he chose as a boy when he got a role in a touring musical. He appeared in Olivier's Henry V and Alastair Sims' Scrooge, and spent 15 years on the comedy crime drama Minder. In fact, he got the title of his autobiography, The World is My Lobster, from a line in a Minder episode. He passed away in 2015.
I think both of those were extremely well cast, and they needed to be, because it's the relationship between those two was so important that
Yes.
they really needed to be equally great actors.
Yes, they both of them did fantastic jobs.
Mm.
I almost picked George for star of the week, but he got edged out by somebody, which in the context of this show sounds very dirty. Gemma Craven played vengeful Judy Hicks. Craven hails from Dublin, and her big breakthrough was being cast as a virtual unknown in the film The Slipper and the Rose in 1976, playing Cinderella opposite Richard Chamberlain.
Yeah.
She won an Olivier for her performance in the musical They're Playing Our Song. She's also appeared in Emily, Pennies from Heaven, and The Two Ronnies. Charlie Koval was the out and proud Kate Hammond. They got their start on the show 40-something and appeared in The In-Betweeners, Whitechapel, and Peep Show. They have transitioned to writing and producing and wrote The End of the Effing World and created Chaos, both for Netflix.
Chaos. I loved it. Shouldn't have been canceled. Bring it back, Netflix.
Grant Ibbs played Dim son Danny Hicks. Now, he's appeared in Down to Earth, Uncle Adolph, Creep, and Emmerdale Farms. Whereas Tom Harper played his brother, shirtless painter Will Hicks. He's appeared in Jason and the Argonauts, Spooks, Oil's War, and The Upside of Anger. Charlotte Lucas was nude model Sophie Hammond. She's been in Bad Girls, Jamaica Inn, Broadchurch, and The Queen's Gambit. Not a lot. I couldn't find a lot on any of them. They all seem to be, working actors, slow and steady.
Mm.
Lloyd Hutchinson played drunken dum-dum Mickey Ryan. He's appeared in White Gold, Black Shore, Bad Sisters, and Florence Foster Jenkins. And this year alone, he was in Mickey 17, and he's in that new show, House of Guinness, on
Netflix.
Here we go.
I haven't watched that one yet. I've got to watch that one.
Well, yeah, it's probably already been canceled.
Yeah, I shouldn't watch anything until I see that they have 2 seasons.
Yes. Marcia Aston was Lionel Lovin Biddy Dixon. She's appeared in the soap operas Compact and Brookside, as well as Upstairs, Downstairs, and Footballers' Wives. Robert Blythe appeared as the milkman, George Miller. He's appeared in The Englishman Who Went Up a Hill but Came Down a Mountain, The Theory of Flight, High Hopes, and Whoops Apocalypse. He passed away in 2018. Josh Stanley appeared as weak-stomached Dougie Hammond. This is his only on-screen acting role, although he has apparently appeared as himself in the reality shows American Weed and Love Island VIP.
Okay.
Will Featherstone was battle-scarred Tommy Hicks. This was his very first role. He went on to appear in Endeavor, Fresh Meat, and A United Kingdom. And I thought this was very interesting. Jeremy Giddens played an officer in this episode. Now, he is probably best known for playing Michael the Vicar in 19 episodes of the British comedy classic Keeping Up Appearances. Apparently, that is what he is still known for to this day. People still come up and recognize him for this role. I found so many articles about him. Like, whatever happened to this guy?
Yeah.
But he is actually, because he also went on to appear in EastEnders, Blackadder Goes Forth, and the all-new adventures of Mr. Blobby. But Giddens retired from acting around 2010.
We have several return visitors, starting with Malcolm Sinclair, who was out of the closet Johnny Hammond. He is also in Beyond the Grave and Saints and Sinners. Sinclair has appeared in Andor, Casino Royale, V for Vendetta, and Pie in the Sky. He was the president of Equity, the Actors Union, for 8 years, and helped start the Act for Change project, which works to increase diversity in performers on British TV and film. Maybe he's the one to blame for actually having actors of color in the show now.
We're happy about that. Eileen was being sarcastic.
I was being sarcastic. There are a lot of people who aren't so happy about it, but I am one of those who's like, oh wow, they're actually having, people who are diverse and representative of England.
I just wanted to be clear because I do not want to deal with the emails.
Brian Capron was Sleazebag Mayor Dave Hicks. We will see him next in The Sword of Guillaume, where he will also be Sleazebag Mayor Dave Hicks. He has had a lengthy career. He actually appeared in a Minder episode with his future on-screen father, as well as Emma, 101 Dalmatians, and Bergerac. He appeared on Coronation Street as the serial killer Richard Hillman. This character was so popular, almost 20 million people watched him try to drown a family on the show. Were they the Hammonds?
No, it apparently was a long part of a story arc. I don't know. I was when you there's so much of these characters that we've had on the show who have like these lengthy soap opera kind of things. It's just like, I don't have a year to sort of parse through all this. It just, that episode apparently was a big deal and it drew 20 million people to watch it.
Wow. Yeah, and you wrote here that in one poll he was named the best soap opera villain of all time.
Which is true.
They'd never met Erica Kane.
She's not a villain. She
started out as a villain, then she got reformed.
She still she didn't kill anybody.
Robert Morgan played totally above board lawyer Martin Chadwick. He's also in Birds of Prey. He's been in Nuns on the Run, Holding On, Watergate, and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Graham Seed was window healer Dr. Tibbs. He's also in The Dogleg Murders. Seed played Nigel Pargeter on the long-running radio show The Archers for almost 30 years. He also appeared in Brideshead Revisited, I, Claudius, and Bergerac. Barry Aird played Derek, and he's also in Death in the Slow Lane. Aird had a very small role in this, but he's had a prolific character actor career. He's in Being Human, Misfits, Avengers, Age of Ultron, Fortitude, and Lindley.
Yeah, I recognize him and was like, I've seen that guy in so much. Like, he's like the shaven hair, sort of balding guy. He was one of the reenactors.
The one that was found in the ditch, right?
Yeah, he's soldier, tough guy, criminal in so many things.
Yeah. Our beloved mayor of Midsomer, Chris Wilson, also appeared as an uncredited police officer in this episode. Now, our village star this week is return visitor Samantha Bond, who was our Thorazined-up mom, Arabella Hammond. We saw her in Destroying Angel, and we'll see her again in Death in the Slow Lane. She's the daughter of actor Philip Bond, who also did a Midsomer episode. She studied acting at the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School and is a member of the RSC. She was still a student when she got her first professional role in Daisy Pulls It Off. One of her highest profile roles in a very prolific career was as Miss Moneypenny in 4 of the Pierce Brosnan James Bond films, even though technically they are also some of the smallest roles of her career. She also appeared in Downton Abbey, Home Fires, and Outnumbered. Currently, people can see her solving murders in her own series, The Marlowe Murder Club, which I think Midsomer fans would very much like, and which you get to see her naked swimming in almost every episode.
It's a very likable show.
It is a very likable show. I found her very different, which was great. It was a very different role for her in this episode, because in the other two episodes, she's more of the kind of stereotypical man-eater, sex pot kind of character. And so this was a softer role for her, though she was still obviously very sexual, but the whole drugged out Thorazine thing was very different for her, and she had a softer look to her as well. I think she's a great actress. I love her.
Oh, I thought she's fantastic in this episode.
Yeah.
And especially in the second half,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which we will get to right after this. And we're back. Let's talk about the second half of Shot at Dawn. Was anyone shot at dawn in this episode?
I assume Tommy was.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell when it's in black and white.
Yeah.
I'll miss him. Bugging Henry gave me something worth living for. Might as well croak myself now.
Oh, come on, Lionel. There's no need for that.
What about Biddy? She's a nutter. You don't want to listen to her. She talks cobblers from breakfast to dinner. I'm only in there for the sex.
Well, it turns out Bella and Dave have been having an affair for 25 years. Both of them think Will and Sophie's marriage would be a mistake, but only Dave believes it's because they are secretly brother and sister. Well, this idea causes Bella to spit out her Thorazine. She says that the kids are Johnny's, not Dave's, and also that Dave's idea that someday he would divorce Judy and marry Bella makes her laugh, because the only reason she sleeps with Dave is because the Hammonds would be horrified. Which totally makes sense, because I'm totally horrified. Someone is sleeping with Dave. Now, on her way home, Bella mails a letter to Judy. Biddy tells Barnaby that Tommy was the illegitimate son of Dougie's father, which made them half-brothers. Lionel and Mickey decide to visit the memorial after a couple at the pub. While there, an RC car approaches them with a bomb attached. Mickey throws it away in time, and it ends up blowing up Dave's car. Bullard says it's the same kind of explosive used by shoe bombers, and a simple touch card will show who has been handling explosives. Unfortunately, everyone they test comes back negative. Barnaby goes to the Hicks, where they learn that Bella didn't want charges pressed over the gun theft to stop more bad blood from being developed. Judy arrives and shows Dave the letter where Bella admits to the 25-year affair. She tells him that she is not only going to take him for what he's worth, but going to reveal all his dirty schemes and get him put in jail. Barnaby is amused. Judy tells the whole town, so it's not long before Johnny finds out and tells Bella that what she did was unforgivable. But he is immediately called away by a solicitor to come see something in his father's will. As he goes outside to the garage, a machine gun opens fire, and he is shot down in front of Bella. Barnaby finds out that it was someone impersonating Chadwick on the phone to get Johnny outside. They also find radio transmitters on the garage door and the machine gun, meaning that when Johnny hit the button to open his garage door, he set off the machine gun that killed him. So it looks like someone is using electronics to kill. Maybe that someone is Mickey, who also happens to be an electronics expert and was dishonorably discharged from the army for stealing ordnance. He was up the street with Lionel working on someone's house at the time of the murder. Barnaby also gets Bella to reveal who the true father of Kate and Sophie is, and that's her father-in-law Henry, who would often have his way with her over the years. Judy gives the police a recording of Dave explaining how they were going to get the North Meadow from the Hammonds, and Barnaby realizes that the codicil was how Dougie wanted to make amends. So Chadwick shows Barnaby the codicil and explains that the Hammond Trust ends with the passing of the last parent, Bella. Meanwhile, a surveyor calls Bella to come see something in the North Meadow. She drives up and wanders around and is soon attacked by a remote-controlled tractor. She is almost run down, but Barnaby and Jones save her in the nick of time. They find a radio transmitter hidden in Kate's horse box, and she had just told her mom that she hated her for sleeping with Henry. Kate tries to throw suspicion on Sophie, so they start fighting, and Jones looks really hysterical when he has to break it up. Barnaby goes back to Biddy's to get a box, the last thing he needs to crack this case. Barnaby then goes to the Hicks house and slowly works through each member of the family and their motives for murder. But he also eliminates them all until he gets to Lionel. And when Barnaby gets to him, he pulls a remote control car from the box, causing Lionel, who has been in a wheelchair the entire episode, to stand up. Turns out the wheelchair was just a ruse for benefits fraud. But that is not the only reveal. Lionel is the killer. So it turns out Lionel's genial, lighthearted persona is a front, and he is really a bitter, angry man who hates the Hammonds. He was an engineer in the army, so he knew how to use explosives. He also worked as a TV repairman, so he knew how to use remotes. He joined the reenactors to get his hand on some armaments. All he needed was one opportunity to kill his hated enemy, Henry Hammond. And when he overheard Mickey's plan, he knew the time had come. He stole the gun from Danny's room and then waited until Mickey was done and killed Henry. He then attached a remote control to Henry's motorized wheelchair to drive him straight into the truck, which came along that route same time every day. He attempted to throw the gun into the water, but because of his age, he could only throw it into the shallows. He then tried to throw suspicion off himself with the attempt on his own life, and then set up the trap to kill Johnny. He faked the calls to Johnny and Bella. All of this to end the feud that had started with his dad's death. Biddy had told him a long time ago about his father being a half Hammond, and he had overheard Dave talking about them taking the North Meadow. So he decided that the Hicks had waited long enough to get what they were owed. He does not give a damn that he is caught, because he only has a little time left anyways.
Yep.
Strange kill this time was the remote controlled machine gun. Johnny Hammond is mowed down by a remote controlled machine gun. I'm not really sure how a remote controlled machine gun works, because they still tend to be triggers.
Yeah.
But yep, Johnny used his remote control on his garage door, which then sent a signal to the machine gun to mow him down. I thought it was kind of weird that Johnny is outside and he actually hears the gunfire, because it takes a good few seconds for the bullets to slowly make their way up to him. And he looks around really confused. Like, you're a military man. You know what machine gun sounds like.
Yeah.
Huh? And then he is shot to death very brutally. And then he drags himself across the ground to the window where his wife has been watching all of this. And he raises his hand to her and she kind of waves, which is her clearly drugged up.
It's just a really fascinating the way they did that scene between the two of them. I mean, the way she's watching him, the way he goes over, and it makes sense in the context of the show.
Yeah, although I have to say, Thorazine is a really powerful antipsychotic that they give to people with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Having like severe bipolar reactions. It's not something you just take to calm your nerves. Like, I'm not sure how Bella was walking.
Well, she does fall down when she's being chased by the haymaker.
She's not walking. Yeah, she walks real funny. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It's like half drunk walk.
Yeah.
And I guess that was supposed to be her on Thorazine, but
yeah.
who is giving her Thorazine?
Yeah, when you're rich enough, you can always find a doctor to give you the good drugs.
They're not that rich anymore. So our killer this time is Lionel. Finally murdering the man he has hated for decades. Through most of this episode, he seems just like a very nice, genial guy. But we find out in the last, 5 minutes that it is an all an act.
Mm-hmm.
He is actually a simmering cauldron of scams and hatred.
Yeah. And he notices everything.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of like that thing of just like Dave, like wondering why Dave and his kid were so scummy. And then you find out, oh, they learned it from Lionel. Lionel has been this kind of guy his whole life.
Yeah.
He's also a quarter Hammond.
Mm-hmm.
You think that drove him crazy? There's no scum in the Toff's trough, Eileen.
Oh, there's lots of scum in the Toff's trough.
Oh boy.
Every Toff family has the illegitimates running around.
He also tells his family that he did it for them. And then sort of stands up and salutes, I guess, his dead dad and starts singing.
Yeah.
I would have taken that more poignantly if he hadn't just revealed him to be sort of just a huge jerk. Oh, you actually felt this dedicated to right or wrong for your father. It's like, you're just a crook like your son.
Yeah, and you think it's mainly going to be for revenge, but going after Bella makes it clearly that it was about the money as well.
Yep.
Mm.
His son Dave is a shifty builder and landowner, and I guess the mayor of Coston.
Yeah, I thought you had to live in a town to be, but maybe they have a city or an apartment in the city. I don't know. Who knows?
But then what? Like, how could he make things happen in Parva?
Yeah.
It is a little confusing. I don't like. I would think that the mayor of a village would not have that much sway to be able to force a police detective
Yeah.
to come see your silly reenactment, but
Yeah.
he seemed really bad at scams and also dumb. Like, all the men in this episode are kind of dumb.
Yeah. Except for Will, who's
Will.
just there to be sexy.
Yeah.
And the good guy.
But Mickey's an idiot. Lionel's Lionel, not really an idiot, but evil. Dave's an idiot. Danny's an idiot. Henry's a jerk. Johnny, non-entity almost. So a high quotient of dum-dums in this episode.
Yeah. I think we've learned that you don't have to be smart to be wealthy.
That is true. That is true. And he is trying to become wealthier than the Hammonds.
Yeah.
Not it seems he seems more lucky than that, but
Yeah.
I thought when Bella was revealed, when they were revealed to having an affair, I was like, this is like I figured this out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was not a real twist or shock, was it?
No. But I think a lot of that is because it's set up well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I like that Dave's karma for not putting his dad's wheelchair in his nice car was to have his nice car blown up.
Yeah, that's what you get, Dave.
Oh my god. So when Dave comes out in those swimming trunks,
Yeah.
whoa.
I will say I did like the cinematography of them shooting from the indoor swimming pool, bathhouse, whatever, to looking out where Judy is lounging by the outdoor pool. Just really beautiful shot there.
Judy is she hates living in Parva. She hates this small because she's a fancy townie. She wants that high-flying Coston living.
Yeah, well, they've got things going on in Corston.
Oh yeah. There's just that's like Corston is the fancy high life, right? I like that, she gets the letter from Bella with the evidence of that she's long believed Dave is having an affair. She just didn't know who, and now she has this letter that's claiming it. And I love that the evidence, so that she knows that it's real, is that apparently when he orgasms, Dave likes to say his own name. I got to be honest, ladies, if your man is doing that, don't be with them for 25 years. And Dave, again, kind of showing that he is really bad at this. Like, Judy, tells him that he has got, she's like, I've got your number. I also have all the bank accounts. And he's tries to give her but baby, I love you.
Yeah.
And she pretends to fall for a good 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's hysterical.
Yeah. Excellent job by Gemma Craven here. Yeah.
Yes. And then the son, Danny, is also just a bit of a twit.
Mm-hmm.
We mostly see him giggling with his dad. He's got Eric Trump vibes.
Oh, definite Eric Trump vibes.
Just bit useless.
Yeah.
But did you like that? Did you like that they have a foosball table?
Love the foosball table.
We're not going for them fancy billiards. We go foos.
It's very much what he would have. He would be playing foosball because he would not be doing anything as complicated as billiards or pool.
And did you notice that Judy alibis him that he was in bed? Because I tucked him in. Ew. That's just classic Midsomer creepy.
Yeah. What's interesting though is that as far as incest is concerned, having third cousins getting married is way legit. Actually, it's legit in most places. I looked it up. And there's no place where you can't marry your third cousin.
So are they third cousins? Is that where Will and Sophie?
Will and Sophie would be third cousins, yeah.
I actually liked their scenes, the couple of their scenes together. Will is the one stable guy in this entire episode.
Yeah.
Do you think Lionel really did support the marriage or not? Or was that just part of his act?
I think that was part of his act. Yeah.
Why was he doing that act in front of the family? Because you'd think they would know that he is like this, right?
I think for him to have been so convincing for so long, he did it in front of everybody. I think it was, and there is something about this sociopathic element to him where where he was able to do these murders without any compunction because he had been playing the role of the good guy and having this working behind the scenes as a sociopath all along. It just comes through ever so slightly every once in a while.
Switching over to the other half of this feud, let's talk about the Hammonds, Bella and Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage of convenience, combining two military families. I kind of felt like her coming from like a military father or whatnot might explain why she ends up having the kind of the weird affair with Henry.
Yeah.
Which also Midsomer creepy.
Very Midsomer creepy.
She both loved and hated him. What's the difference? She asks, which I thought was a really wonderful character moment.
I loved the scene of her crying over the casket and the black draped crepe room. I mean, she's very, very over the top with it. Barnaby and Jones come in, and Barnaby just likens it to a scene from Dickens, where Jones is immediately reminded of the Munsters, and that is their characters in one in like two words. He says Dickens, Jones says Munsters.
Now she tells Kate in a confrontation scene that she wanted children and she knew Johnny could not provide them, so she slept with Henry, I guess, to keep it in the family.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, and she described it as better to be hung for two lambs as a sheep.
Yeah,
might as well be hung for two lambs as a sheep. Also, good to not be hung at all.
Yeah.
That scene when he does suggest that Dave suggests that the girls are his,
Mm-hmm.
and she spits up the pill.
Yeah.
But I like that she describes it like she describes him multiple times as like, this is not an affair. She does not like Dave. She finds Dave grotesque.
Yeah.
That this is only about sex. This is only about making the Hammonds angry.
Mm-hmm.
Bella is a bundle of rage.
Yeah.
Like if there's a theme in this episode, it is like all these people who are just primed to explode in destructive or self-destructive ways.
It is this whole suppression of anger that is going on. And to be honest, it reminded me of how Europe was before World War One. There was, because there was this, period of peace, but there were all these little things going on that were, that were cropping up in like the Balkans and stuff. And but the major powers were kind of, we're just kind of mildly, but then once things went off.
Yeah.
And by the way, I highly recommend The Guns of August if you're interested in a really great book on the origins of World War One by Barbara Tuchman. It's 50 years old probably by now, but it's still probably one of the definitive books on the start of the war.
I thought the character of Kate was interesting in the sense of nobody seems to tell right off the bat that she's a lesbian, even with that haircut.
Yeah. I actually thought that we were going to have an evil lesbian, killer lesbian, because there were several episodes in this time where it's kind of implied on that.
Yeah, I wasn't really worried about that, mostly because she was a non-entity through most of this. I really like that scene where she's dressed as a soldier, singing the Galloping Major, and then Mickey hits on her anyway. It's like, Mickey, what in any of this are you picking up on?
Yeah.
He's an idiot. But Jones, that scene where he's like trying to figure out, like, he's like, oh, who are you making out with? Caroline. Like his face of shock. Oh.
Yeah. And Jones, and through all of this, other than that scene, is like, he's the one who just like has us all slide off of him. He's not, he's the one who tells, and in the last episode we did that somebody has to explain what she meant by playing for the other team or whatever,
It was a cheap laugh. I thought it was like, I just assumed.
Yeah.
Her dad, Johnny, is also a gay man. I liked the that he was not in the closet, that he was out, that everyone knew who he was or what his sexuality was, and kind of just, matter of factly that this is like the way life is. Also a gay conservative.
Yeah.
It makes sense with his upbringing, right?
Yeah. Still a bit of a pink elephant, but yeah.
Yes. What about that scene at the boxing gym where like the masseuse is giving him a rub down and then Dave starts rubbing him down? And for 2 seconds I was like, wait, are Johnny and Dave having an affair? Right? It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah. It seemed odd. I mean, it would have been made more sense maybe the other way around because Dave would have been skeeved out by it, you would think, because he's, the macho guy. But,
If you're going to try to start a negotiation with someone, rubbing him down is really a bad start.
yeah. Yeah, it really put him off immediately. Yeah, that's not the way you do this.
Yeah. It just added more ick to Dave.
Yeah. It's bad negotiating skills, but Dave probably doesn't really have good negotiating skills. He probably negotiates a lot by intimidation.
I have to say, one of the funnier characters in this episode is Biddy Dixon.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
She and Lionel have a sexual relationship. Lionel is very quick to like, oh no.
Mhm.
It's all about the sex with her.
Mhm.
Like, Lionel and Bella really are mirror images of each other, right?
Mhm.
He can't be with Biddy because she talks cobblers from breakfast to dinner.
Yeah.
Also, you get one of the few clues that Lionel isn't all good.
Mhm.
He does like a 2-second reaction to hearing her laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just a really nice subtle character moment that you don't think about it much. I didn't think about it much in the moment, but when you
Mhm.
think back on it, it was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, the way he winces when she laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lionel also tried to describe what he and Biddy do sexually to Barnaby, which was a choice. Not one I would have done.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad that Barnaby cuts him off at that one.
Oh yeah. And then we get that scene where Biddy refuses to let the doctor in to treat her, so the doctor is treating her through the window.
Not quite a house call.
No. Honestly, I don't quite understand what the point of that was. Like, it didn't go anywhere.
No, it was a funny scene, yeah.
It's a very funny scene, but it just established her as eccentric, which we already knew.
Yeah.
And the doctor character never came back for anything.
Yeah.
So it just seemed like, oh, that was a weird moment.
Yeah.
And then our last major character was Mickey, who is a moron.
Yeah.
That is his entire legal defense, and it works.
And yeah, it's true. He really is too dumb to have done any of that because it required more sophistication, more planning, more intellect than he had.
Your Honor, I plead not guilty on the grounds of I'm dumb.
Yeah. And, let's face it, I mean, dumb people commit a lot of crimes. I mean, I'm not going to say you have to be smart to commit a crime, but there was a level of sophistication to these murders that required a little bit more sophistication and technical
Yes.
know-how than Mickey was capable of.
Or planning.
And planning, yeah. I mean, his planning for the, fake firing squad was not that deep.
But also, I think, a willingness to inflict pain.
Mm-hmm.
Henry shot with his own dad's gun is a murder of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny machine gunning down a guy, like to have a guy ripped apart by those old school machine guns.
Yeah.
That's some severe malice.
Yeah.
Like that's like when he falls down on the ground, he's dragging himself. That's brutal.
Yeah.
Trying to set Bella up to be run down by a tractor.
A haymaking tractor, yeah.
Yeah.
And those things are those. That's where people get torn apart.
Like,
yeah,
it's almost like Lionel had a bloodlust that shooting Henry just like it just turned it on. Like I got this. Was like, no, I want bigger, more painful, more violent.
Yeah,
that's some dark stuff.
yeah. He's escalating.
Yes, like a serial killer.
Yeah.
Over in Corner, we had a couple of nice little Bullard moments. One, we like as we mentioned earlier, he does have that great line where he's like, "Impossible when half your head is shot off," which is like I know Bullard's got a dry wit, but
yeah,
that one was not his best work.
And technically not even accurate.
If half of that head is blown off, they've shot it in a way that you never see that.
Yeah.
Bullard also makes the incredible statement that bombings are just not a woman thing. which Barnaby correctly calls out as sexist.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a really strange thing again to come out of Bullard's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Someday we really need to sit down and talk about how he went from like country doctor to all encompassing like CSI lab tech.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it just seemed to happen one day.
Yeah.
We do not want to hire anyone else for this show.
Yeah. Yeah. There is the crime labs are set up by the police and the coroner. There are no specialists.
Speaking of specialists, I thought it was hysterical. At one point, we do see Barnaby in the crime lab doing something.
Yeah.
That's not what you do.
Yeah.
Even on the holidays, you made Jones do it all.
Yeah, I thought it funny when Stevens suggested having the DNA tested and he says it was a good idea and then tries to get it paid for by, I don't know, the coroner's budget. It's like, they're not going to do that because it's not really relevant to the case.
Nope. Why is Barnaby being the one sent to all the mayor's events? He is a higher level inspector.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You don't send him. You just don't go.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you have like a PR flacky do it. Yeah.
Because also, again, this is Midsomer. He's always investigating a triple homicide.
Yeah.
He's too busy for this.
Yeah. He's got a full plate.
I didn't understand why they did let Mickey go.
Yeah, he did actually kidnap somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
He kidnapped a man.
Yeah.
The man ended up dead. In the U.S., that's probably felony murder. Whether or not he was involved in it or not, it's felony murder.
Yeah.
Now we're going to let him go. He's stupid. It was like, oh, so he could do this again? Jones has a couple of physical moments. He stops the tractor.
Yeah.
And then he has to break up the fight between the two sisters.
Oh, yeah.
With Barnaby just kind of watching and laughing and then just looking real smug afterwards.
I love that we kind of get the Battle of the Baguettes at the beginning, kind of towards the end, and then it's balanced by the battle between these two sisters. Barnaby has to stop one, Jones has to stop the other. There's actually some kind of really cool callbacks in this episode. So the writing, I thought, had some really good points to it.
And then at the very end, when Barney gets the box from Biddy's that has the remote control car, when Jones asks him what it is, Barnaby tells him it's the MacGuffin, which it's not.
No, and actually I kind of don't know why it really matters.
So the MacGuffin is actually a term that was developed by Alfred Hitchcock, and it's basically, he uses it, it's the intangible or the tangible thing that everyone's chasing for some reason.
Yeah.
In his movies.
Yeah.
For example, North by Northwest, it's the classic example would be the Cary Grant is technically the MacGuffin because it's really the guy that this guy that doesn't exist, and then it becomes the that's the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Nobody was chasing this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the classic MacGuffin is obviously the Maltese Falcon, which was not a Hitchcock movie, but it is kind of the quintessential MacGuffin. It's the thing that everybody's going after. It drives the plot, but it is not the most essential part of the plot.
It's the thing that moves the plot forward. It doesn't necessarily. It's kind of it's what causes the plot to move forward. But you're right. It's not the central thing in the story.
Yeah.
And this isn't even this remote control car thing. It's not that at all.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand why Lionel stood up when he saw it.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah.
Like, oh, I had that as a kid, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
The home life, man, Tom and Joyce are everywhere in this episode. They are at the ceremony, the pub, the reenactment.
Yeah.
I don't even know why they went to this pub in Midsomer Parva. It doesn't seem like it's any different than any other pub. And Barnaby only wants the meat pies anyways.
But, she was not going to be cooking in that kitchen, that flooded kitchen.
No. Tom enjoys seeing his wife in, I guess, her equivalent of the sexy nurse outfit, which is just a full-on Red Cross from ankle.
Yeah. I love the way she says and her little hand movement when she tells him, you can go now. Perfect.
Yes. And then a central theme in this episode is Barnaby does not like Dave Hicks because Dave Hicks is also a builder who worked on their house, who did their roof, and their roof is leaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a leak. That much water that's coming in, there's some holes.
Yeah. As someone who's had a hole in her roof due to raccoons. That's more than just one hole.
It's a terribly shoddy job.
Yeah.
It's why Barnaby does not like Hicks, and it's a running thing throughout the episode. And then at the very end, Hicks is fixing Barnaby's roof for free.
Yeah.
What happened there? Because we know that Barnaby now has evidence of Dave Hicks's crimes, and he's still mayor in the Sword of Guillaume.
Yeah.
Did Barnaby cover up Dave Hicks's crimes to get a free repair on his roof?
One wonders. Yeah.
I'm not wondering. I am saying right now, Barnaby used this to get a free roofing job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dave Hicks is an unethical mayor who should be out of the job.
Yeah.
And him still being the mayor in the Sword of Guillaume is sort of like the same guy being mayor in Jaws 2. After he let several people get eaten in Jaws 1.
And let's not even get started on Jaws 3D, because then you've got 3D. Anyway, yeah, it's we know that Tom likes to bend a few rules. The little unauthorized breaking and entering into a suspect's house. We've talked about that quite a bit. He obviously doesn't care about any other crime other than murder, because he says we're not here for the benefits fraud and stuff like that. He kind of lets a few people go for various and sundry marijuana brownies and things. Some people he doesn't let go. So he's very uneven with his application of the law when it comes to non-murders.
I'm saying this is straight up corrupt. This is straight up Tom Barnaby blackmailed Dave Hicks and deserves to lose his badge. Final thoughts on Shot at Dawn.
I know that there are issues with it. I think there's some things that could have been more explained. I still don't get the car. I do overall like this episode. I think there's some nice things to it. And I think there's some great acting. I think overall it ties together. I think it's very fair play, because when you go through it and you see and you're looking again and knowing who's done it, it's like all the clues are there. So I actually do like this one. I don't think it's a top 10. I think it's probably a solid B.
Yeah, I think it's a solid B. I think at one point I wrote in my notes, I like this in spite of myself. It's not the most clever of mysteries. It has very nice performances. Dialogue is not super memorable. Nothing really stands out. Nothing really stands out in this episode.
Well, I mean, there's the Battle of the Baguettes. Yeah,
that's fun, but it's not like I'll forget about that in like 2 episodes. I'm just nothing really stands. It's a solid B. It's you put it on. It's your average comfort food. If you use like a burger scale, right? The best burger you ever have is Badger's Drift.
Yeah.
Or and Night of the Stag is like whatever. It's like a 3-day-old Hardee's
rancid
thing. Yeah. This is a straight up McDonald's cheeseburger. It does the job. It's tasty for what it is. It is not the best burger you've ever had in your life.
I would say it's a Burger King one, because it does have a little flame broiling on it.
But because when the thing blew up?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I do like the way the murders escalate. I think psychologically that makes sense. I think there's some nice pairings in this that work well. I think there's some nice, writerly tricks. The dialogue could be sharper, but I think there's some good structure to it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. So that's everything we wanted to talk about. If you had anything you wanted to discuss about Shot at Dawn or Midsomer Murders, feel free to email us at welcometomidsomer@gmail.com. And we have an email this week.
Cool.
Nancy Fuller sent us a lovely email. She said, "Thanks for the great podcast. I listened to other Midsomer podcasts, and I'm so glad I found yours." I don't know what other Midsomer podcast she could be referring to. Like Sean Connery's Bond, I like John the best, but it's all good. You're so good at telling the stories, putting in facts, and finding the humor in the stories. Thank you, Nancy. I've been binging your shows while doing housework, and it sure makes my day. I liked Midsomer when John was on and still watch, but I love Broken Wood the best now. Any ideas on a Broken Wood podcast? I think they have more of a following than you'd expect. Have a great day, knowing you've made mine. Thanks, Nancy Fuller. Thank you, Nancy.
And I'm a big Broken Wood fan myself. Yeah.
Yeah, Nancy, we've got at least another 60 to 70 Midsomer episodes to get through. We do kind of joke a little bit about what we would do next, and Broken Wood is definitely in the mix for that. I don't know, but we're really glad that you enjoy our shows. We're so happy that they make your day better. We love doing them, and just really thank you so much for that message. That was so appreciated. If you want to write like Nancy does, just send an email to welcometomidsomer@gmail.com. If you want us to use the email in the show, just say so in your email. We are also Welcome to Midsomer on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please follow us in all these places. Now, if you like what you heard, consider subscribing to us or rating and reviewing us on iTunes or Spotify. That helps people find us. Turn on the automatic downloads, please. That helps with the algorithm. Tell all your friends about us. That's just a nice thing to do. Now, we're going to be back soon with another episode, and we hope you will join us for that one. And as we take the road out of Midsomer, we want to thank you for listening and remind you that in Midsomer, family feuds can be murder.
And usually are, especially in Midsomer.
Welcome to Midsomer is produced by Eric Buscher and Eileen Becker. All clips in this podcast are used in compliance with the U.S. Copyrights Act fair use exception for criticism and commentary. Our logo and podcast art were designed by Smeedrai. Our theme music is by the infamous Space.